I first came to Beauport in fall of 2012. The sense of kind of joy in that house as you go from one room to the next. And there's a kind of fun house quality to Beauport. And you really get a sense that this is someone who is not playing by the rules. This is someone who is really kind of playing his own game.
At Beauport, we began talking about Henry Sleeper as a gay man in 2008. How important do you think that is for visitors?
Well, I think it's hugely important for the LGBT community who want to see themselves in these spaces. But beyond that, I think it's important for every person who comes into that house to understand Sleeper's full humanity. It is not the whole of his identity, but it is a very important part of it. And we certainly wouldn't ignore, for example, that he was from Boston. It's a part of his story. His, sort of sexual orientation, I think, is something that very much, in a lot of ways, dictated kind of the way he saw the world, the way he navigated it.
On the tour, we talk about, the challenges of interpreting LGBTQ history when oftentimes those stories have been erased by subsequent generations and even the individuals themselves. How should historians approach these hidden stories?
Archives often have, enormous absences, either due to generations, following the person's death, or even self-censorship, which is a huge problem as well that historians of these folks face. As a historian of LGBTQ subjects, I feel sometimes like I'm one of those archaeologists at Pompeii, right? Have you ever seen those bodies that they kind of recreate inside the cavities of the lava? They're able to recreate them by finding the absences. And I feel like that's part of my job as a historian of these folks, is to find the absences and kind of fill them back in. I think it can be as difficult for studying a straight subject as it is for someone from the LGBT community, because it really forces you to look at very small details, which often pay off. And those absences or silences that begin to tell us there's something here, or there was something here.
Having the Pride Tour itself initially at Beauport has actually led us to find more material, more archival material than we even knew existed to begin with. But just the fact that we now had a place to be able to use it, people sort of came forward with things, that we didn't even know existed before.
This is why we read books and go to the theater and go to historic houses and go to virtual lectures. We, especially in this time, want to be outside of ourselves and our own spaces. I tend to think in terms of sets. And I have to say, so did these designers. Hyatt Andrews Home, Red Roof, Beauport, Wrong Roof, even Fenway Court. They're all really elaborate stage sets for a particular set of characters. And they all played their parts kind of exquisitely. And lucky for us, we get to walk onto the stage too.